I hereby would like to introduce Kevin Mayne, our CEO at Cycling Industries Europe. The stage is yours, Kevin.
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Paul, for the earlier presentation and for inspiring us with your report earlier in the year. Well, everyone, who would have predicted this? Who would have predicted that we were holding the Cycling Industries Europe Annual Summit in a lockdown, in an environment where our businesses have been struggling to survive, where we're having to learn from colleagues that they're having to go to essential services to keep bike shops open, where we're actually providing the service of using bikes to protect public transport. Yes, it's a very challenging time, and it's a very tough time for our colleagues and for our industry. But I would say there's actually something else going on. COVID has provoked a series of noises, of stories. And I hear people say, there's a technology going to do well out of this. I hear people say, actually, things are happening on our street. People say, I'm trying something different. And what we're hearing is that that noise is cycling. And I think it is the job of this summit to finally capture that moment when we start to turn a corner ourselves as an industry, as a group of associations, as companies. And we ask the question, what does it take to go from crisis through the recovery and the economic recovery we want, but actually look far beyond that. Let's look at the goals of the European Green Deal and ask ourselves, can we move through that entire process as an industry, as a cycling movement? Because there is something extraordinary happening out there, because the word on the streets, for want of a cliche, is cycling. But what I also hear, when you talk to people about what they expect after this COVID period, they tend to use phrases like, let's get back to normal. That worries me, because when I hear you want normal, this is what I might see. Is this our normal? Is this what back to normal will mean when people rush from their homes and into their transport systems and we go to this? Do we want to go back to this economy, where an economy where what we do actually swamps us, like an enormous cruise ship sailing through Venice? And it's actually so huge, it looks down on the canals and it swamps everything that we want to see, and it destroys the very thing we love. Space being squeezed by these monsters, that is not our normal. That it cannot be the normal after this. I don't think so. If that's normal, then we will have learned nothing from this COVID-19 crisis and all that we've been through. We will have forgotten that humans need space. They need places to move. They need places to meet. They need places to move, but they also need places to stop. And COVID has showed us that. We are not an indoor species. We need to connect. And we are hearing that people want cycling and walking. And as they cycle and walk, they've supported small businesses and local businesses. And they want those businesses back. It cannot be our normal that we go back to asking people to move from this box and get in this box to travel and go to this box to work and have this box for tourism. This cannot be our new normal after COVID. Society has sent us a message. And also, if this picture on the screen is our normal, we have not understood what the European Green Deal needs, what a sustainable future means. It says we must have sustainable and inclusive growth. It says we must have deeply transformative actions. And it says we have to move fast, because we only have until 2030 to reduce our carbon emissions by half. And it's only a 10-year horizon. If this is our normal, we will not achieve that. And I give you another example. We will not have learned from the last recession. I'm delighted to be followed by our friend Matthew Baldwin, who in his many roles is the coordinator for freight at the European Union Transport. But Matthew, since the last recession, vans, like commercial vehicle sales, have grown by 40% in Europe, and they're all diesel. We will not have learned if we give subsidies and tax breaks to fill the streets. We take one vehicle away and we add another polluting vehicle back in. We will not have learned. So this cannot be our normal. You can electrify this picture. We could automate this picture. But COVID and the EU Green Deal tell us this cannot be going back to normal. Ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that we are at a turning point. So we have to do something to unlock a turning point. Well, I tell you what, the people like the EU and international institutions are very good at doing. They're very good at putting a lot of numbers together, and the numbers are enormous, and they call it a budget. So I can tell you now, the discussion in the European capitals is that our EU COVID recovery plan should be 1 trillion euros. That means it's big, and therefore it's important. I can tell you that our European research and innovation plan is 100 billion euros, or that we have 20, 30, 40, 50 billion euros ready to be released for small and medium-sized enterprises to regenerate Europe's growth. Those numbers are huge, but what the European Union and others are not so good at is actually turning those into things we can see on the ground that actually reach the goals for which they're aimed at. Let me show you what I think our plan can look like. Let's put a picture on it. A picture from that same city where we just saw that traffic jam. Yes, this is what our streets can look like. That's what our streets begin to be like during this COVID time. So let's put this plan into words. First of all, let's make this plan for smart and inclusive growth. Well, smart economics, that actually, if you support the sale of a bicycle, you support more jobs per euro than if you spent that euro on cars. If you support investment in infrastructure for cycling, you actually get more jobs per euro than if you build major road highways. Our projects have the best return on investment of any investments in mobility because they're smart. They bring congestion busting, reduced emissions, public health, air quality, and local business. Fantastically smart economics. And what they create is something called European champions. And our European industrial strategy and our European Green Deal call for European champions. What does that mean? That means here in Europe, we have world-leading companies and a world-leading economy. They're looking in the digital sector, or maybe the biotech sector, or the computing sector, and asking, where are our European champions? I will tell you, those European champions are on this call today. World-leading companies, and not only that, we are attracting the world's investment. Investment from Asia, new factories from the global giants being built here in Europe. American money, Chinese money coming to Europe because this is the most innovative, the fastest growing, the most technologically advanced cycling market in the world. That's smart economics. And I can also tell you that these plans would be deeply transformative. Because yes, I can tell you that this picture reduces carbon and air pollution emissions. I can tell you that this picture gives us less congestion. But I can also show you that a cycling plan can give you better health, better public spaces, sustainable local jobs in bike share, in bicycle deliveries, in the bike shops that have stayed open during the crisis, and of course, in a sustainable tourism that's dispersed and benefits the whole of Europe rather than congested hotspots. And let's spend this money with our European values, because we have European values of fairness and of equity and of no region left behind. And it cannot be fair that a technology like an e-bike, do you know, there are 100 times more e-bikes per head in the Netherlands and Belgium than there are in Greece and Romania and Bulgaria. That is not a European value if we do not share those benefits of health and congestion busting and post-COVID recovery with the whole of Europe. And there are reasons for that. And our other European value is fairness and market fairness. And it's our taxpayers' money should not be bailing out failure. Are we really going to bail out the airlines again? Are we really going to bail out the car industry because they can't sell their electric cars when we have an industry and a technology that's outselling them 10 to 1? And as Paul says, has so much more transformation still to give. No, we're not going back to that normal. We're not going back there. We have a better plan. And I just want to talk to you now in my last few minutes about what we could do and what we should do. And we have a basic plan. We have a plan called the European Cycling Strategy. And credit to our colleagues at the European Cyclist Federation and the coalition that put that together. That plan's been in place since 2017. And it's already attracting European Union money, 2 billion euros in the last budget. We know that plan, if it grew to 6 billion euros of support, could create, we can show you that it can create 400,000 jobs that reach every corner of Europe, like these beautiful scenes where we might ride our mountain bikes in rural districts, in country districts. But of course, it also delivers in the cities. That's a real plan. But COVID-19 perhaps tells us we can do much more and we can go much, much faster. We've got Christophe coming on shortly to talk about Paris. Let's just look at Paris for a moment. What's Paris doing during the COVID outbreak? It is grabbing, with the Ile-de-France, 650 kilometers of roads that are partially closed, that are low traffic volumed, and they're grabbing them now to make a cycle network. We can call them COVID lanes. If every other city in Europe and every other district and every village just matched Paris's ambition, we'd actually only need about 1.5% of the roads in Europe. But what does that make? France, if you follow your capital city, you would have 18,000 kilometers of new bike lanes, of new bike facilities now, just by grabbing what's already closed. EU colleagues, 95,000 kilometers of new bike lanes available now. And Europe as a whole, wider Europe, 150,000. Wow. And that's the amazing thing. We don't have to do a whole lot of stuff because we've created it today. Cities are doing that now if they grab it and secure it. But it'll be full again in 2 months. It'll be back to our horrible picture. And what should we do on these so-called COVID lanes? Well, let's tell you now. You want a COVID recovery, European Union. You want a European Green Deal. You want transformation. You want inclusivity. You want European champions. You want sustainable and job-intensive industries. I give you the European bicycle industries, the European e-bike industry, psychologistics industry, and all the services that go around that. Today, we call upon you to create a 5 billion euro European e-bike fund so that all of Europe can benefit from this, so that all of Europe's champion companies in our cycling industries can throw their weight behind a plan that means you can have these amazing e-bikes from Bucharest to Lisbon, from Stockholm and Helsinki down to Valletta and Nicosia, the whole of Europe. And they can be shared bikes if you can't afford one at home. A family in an apartment block, they can have one shared cargo bike in the basement. But this is a real plan. So let me sum it up. What's possible today? Well, let me start with our colleagues here from the European Union, from cities, from governments, from regions that I know are listening in. Let's go back. This is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is the only time you will have empty streets that are not like this, and you can reset the normal. We hope you have the vision to say, no, this is not the normal in our city. This is not the normal in Europe. This street sits between the European Commission and the European Council. Everybody who works in Brussels knows it. And you have a chance to say, no, this is not our vision of Europe. And even if it's not visionary, just do it through cold-headed economics. Do it in a way that says, we have a plan that delivers our European deal. Now let's make those steps. And finally, I just want to close with my colleagues in the Cycling Industries Europe and the other business colleagues that are on this call. Paul Lee, I think, provided us with a picture. When that report came out from Deloitte, we were already excited. It said, yeah, we can double cycling. But I give you this picture, and I say to you, no longer is it a picture. COVID-19 and the European Green Deal tell us as Cycling Industries Europe and as a cycling business community, it's not a picture, it's not a story, it's a mission, it's a task. We have to do this. I just want to say thank you to our members who work in our expert groups, who are delivering the innovations and the plans and are helping us put this plan and intelligence together. Thank you to the companies that are looking to join us, support that. Every week a new company comes and says, yeah, put me into this plan. And we thank you for that. And we can say, we know, by the way, you as a sector have responded to COVID-19, as Tony has said. We know your belief in our product, in our direction, that we are extremely proud to offer this plan, this recommendation, this achievable contribution to Europe's goals. Thank you very much for everybody that's worked with us. Thank you very much for starting down this path of recovery from COVID-19. Cycling Industries of Europe, we are the future. Thank you.